It seems to me that you have been preparing yourself to own a theatre for a very long time, in fact, from primary school.
From primary school? Well, perhaps. I always loved the arts. My mother encouraged me to play the piano and participate in children's theatre productions, where my siblings and myself always partook. And we performed in lots of plays. My mother, of course, was on the committee of the Pretoria Children's Theatre. And when I left school, I had the choice of choosing a career either in music or in drama. And music actually played even more a big role in my formative years because I played the piano and I really went quite far and went as far as doing my teacher's diploma. But then I'd always been lured by the magic of the theatre. And when I was at school, in high school, my art teacher, in fact, Oswald van Blerk, I remember, was a great and passionate theatre practitioner of the past. And he used to always produce all the Shakespeare plays at school, in my high school. And I was once chosen as the understudy in A Midsummer Night's Dream for the part of Titania. Well, I absolutely fell in love with Shakespeare and the part, and I rehearsed over and over. And one day, when the girl who actually had the part of Titania didn't pitch up to rehearsals, which had been happening on occasion, he said, "Daphne, get on stage and let's see what you can do with the part." And that was the beginning of a long and happy and passionate affair with the theatre. And so I decided that that would definitely be my career, and I enrolled at Pretoria University. There was no Wits drama department at the time, and being an English-speaking and Jewish South African, it was quite strange at the beginning, but I absolutely fell in love with the theatre and all the aspects and dimensions of the theatre. And I believed that one day I would have my own theatre, but firstly I would have to try and experience the various aspects of the theatre. And I always think of the Sondheim song, putting it together piece by piece, bit by bit, that Barbara Streisand immortalized. And that's what it's all about. Being a producer and an owner of a theatre is putting it all together. So I obviously have had lots of experience on the stage as actress, having performed in lots of theatre productions in Pretoria and Johannesburg, and on television and film. And of course, I've had the experience of the business side, which we weren't trained to at the wonderful Pretoria University Drama Department, which was very academic. But I was thrown in the deep end, and luckily my husband, who was a very good businessman, tried to help me with the business side. But I have a bit of a grounding in everything, in the performance, the business side, public relations, and marketing, a very important aspect. Besides my master's degree in drama at Pretoria University, I embarked on a diploma course in public relations and marketing.
Daphne, just going back to Pretoria, to the university, it was in Afrikaans?
In Afrikaans.
Did you know Afrikaans when you went there?
No, I was absolutely useless. But very quickly, I felt part of the whole system. Having been brought up, obviously, as an English-speaking South African, going to an English school, with Jewish roots as part of my own family history, it was very different, but slowly but surely having the absolute experience of wonderful lecturers.
Well, you had people like Anna Nettling-Pool, you had Niels Hansen.
Yes.
Tell me about those people.
Well, Anna Nettling-Pool was really my mentor. She inspired me. She gave me the passion that I've followed through till now. And it was very academic, but at the same time, I listened to the language. I loved the Afrikaans language, the poetry of the language. And even though it was at the height of apartheid, we were liberal students, and that didn't worry us. We were determined to fight our way, present things that told stories. To this day, theatre is a voice of the people, and it inspired me in many ways. And I obviously heard Afrikaans and English, beautifully spoken. I was encouraged by the words, even in Anna Nettling-Pool's translations of a number of Shakespeare plays. I even had the leading part as Hermione in The Winter's Tale, Wintersprookje, and many others. and working with Niels Hansen, directing me in Doort is Verslind, a translation from the French of the Carmelites. I was very much into Afrikaans. I even began to think in Afrikaans, but they were very kind to me at the time, and I know things have changed enormously. I was able to write my essays for exams in English, so I had the best of both worlds. It really was an inspiration to have such dynamic mentors. During the course of my studies, for my honours degree and then later for my master's, I researched a particular theatre in Johannesburg called the Standard Theatre, which was in the middle of town, where the Oppenheimer Fountain subsequently stood. And I met all the wonderful people that played their part to bring theatre and entertainment to the people of Johannesburg. And the most wonderful companies came to perform at that wonderful theatre, which was indiscriminately knocked down, demolished, whatever they called it, imploded years later.
And
I think
1947.
47, that's right. And there were marches by Toby Kushlik and all the women at the time to save the theatre. And I think perhaps that preyed on my mind in my quest to start a new theatre for Johannesburg. But in the course of my studies as well, and in researching that particular project and that particular theatre and all the participants that had played their part, I was inspired by so many women luminaries before me and so many female producers, particularly during the war. And I even met up with them, the old Frida Godfrey, Leontine Sagan, Toby Kushlik, Berdine Grunewald, so many women. And I was inspired by that, and I think that's what urged me on for so many years, to be an independent female producer.
You finished at university, you did a master's there. You then went to college to do a PR course. Do you think that was helpful to you?
You know, after the many years of being in the industry and in television, with SABC Television in the drama department from its inception, I believed that I needed more of a business base as well. And then I had my children, and I realized slowly that I would, obviously I wanted to go back into the theatre business, but for many years I was teaching at home, lecturing and doing all that sort of thing. And I embarked on this course at Burnham College, which gave me an insight into publicity and marketing, and how important it is, because without a good publicist, without good marketing of the show, it's absolutely nothing, no matter how wonderful the show is. And as Samuel Goldwyn, the movie mogul in America, once said, there's no business like show business, and a business it certainly is. So that PR course gave me an insight of how one publicizes a play, how one has to build relationships with the media, and how to write a press release. And nowadays it's so easy because we do so much all the time, and it's so much more immediate because we can use social media, we can use all the different platforms. I write a lot. I write all the press releases and the programs and the posters and the brochures and the hoardings, whatever it is, to market the show itself. And I learned a lot from that little course.
Definitely, clearly what you're telling me now, do you think university should include something like that in their course?
I definitely do, and I think some of the schools like AFTA do include the more practical aspects of producing and marketing. And that's what I've specialized in too. Even though I own a theatre now and I am the producer, I sometimes give lectures to students about how important it is to find your audience, to seek an audience appropriate to the play, to try and find every possible means of bringing people to the theatre, building on and creating and developing audiences all the time, finding angles that will appeal to different audiences, different members of the public on different levels, so that they would be enlightened and entertained and educated at the same time.
Was that a deliberate move, educating yourself?
I think so. I think it was a move because I realized that I couldn't, because of my own children, bringing up my own children, and how important it was to be around more and be with the family. I'm very much a housewife and a homemaker and a warm mother and now grandmother. But it was important for me to keep in touch with the theatre, but not to be on stage every night or to be on, doing film shoots at night and the day. So I created my own niche as a marketing person and a publicist for the theatre, and it was very exciting working for the old Civic Theatre and then on a contract with the Market Theatre as a marketing manager. And it all helped me because on my path to develop my own and establish my own theatre, I'd learned so much along the way.
You then took the leap.
I did.
And you dived in and you created your own theatre in Rosebank. How did you manage to do that?
Well, something just happened. I heard that the little theatre as part of a dance school in Rosebank, which was originally part of the Keith and Delia Sainsbury School, was available. And with a few partners initially, just for a few months, I established Theatre on the Square, and then I ran it and took it over myself. And that went from strength to strength. I started presenting shows like Not the Midnight Mass, Sweet Sorrow by Dion Opperman, so many wonderful plays. But it became very small an environment, and I wanted to develop further. And I always wished and had the passion to develop a theatre in the heart of Sandton, where I lived, where there was no cultural hub. And so slowly, with the help of Stocks and Stocks, the developers of the Sandton Square, as it was then called, now the Nelson Mandela Square, I was able to create and develop my own theatre, which was called Theatre on the Square, again in Sandton, but that was with the proviso that I get a sponsor on board. And AGFA, the film people, the photographic people, came on board. And every couple of years, I've had to find another sponsor to help me on my way, because it's been an enormous and very difficult financial task to keep theatre alive. But that has been my passion, to employ the wonderful talents that we have in South Africa on a regular basis, while at the same time educating people and enriching their lives with excitement through the medium of theatre and music, and to keep live performance perpetuated.
Just going back to that very first production in Rosebank, you were up against the likes of Peter Tarun. There were casinos opening up all over around South Africa. They all had little theatres. Did you not think that you were going up against the big guns that you were?
That never deterred me, not at all. People were bemoaning the demise of theatre at the time. And I believed I had a new model. And in fact, it wasn't quite at that stage. It was when I moved to Sandton that the casino theatres became bigger, and there were lots of other little theatres all over the show. But I believed that I really had a model to provide a platform and infrastructure and the chance and opportunity to promote young artists and established artists like never before. Because a lot of the different theatres had their own specific objectives and type of performance. And more commercially, that was perhaps the policy. And I believed I would be giving a chance to so many people. But I would be educating the public in a different sort of a way. So I was not deterred by other managements at all. And I just, perhaps madly, went ahead and did what I felt was best for our wonderful entertainment industry.
The first plays and reviews and things that you did were quite light-hearted, but you also have quite a serious side to you. You've had the Mandela play, you've had A Voice I Cannot Silence, plays like that. Where's your preference?
My preference is with the serious theatre. And even though I have done a couple of lighter romps, I do believe that I've, right from the start, presented serious theatre, local and international theatre. I try to promote good South African works, but at the same time, I've interspersed them with playwrights' plays, such as plays of Mamet and Burkov and Michael Frayn and Neil Laboute. I've done many, many international plays, and I feel that's very important to use as a yardstick to compare our own and our, and really to compare and see and in our quest for theatre excellence. But at the same time, to be sensible and more commercial, I do intersperse with lighter plays and comedies. I've had some of our top comedians like Mark Lottering, Nick Rabinowitz, and so many others perform there. I've had all the wonderful works of playwright Paul Slabolepsy, all those lovely sporting plays that were very, very popular for many, many years. Life's a Pitch, It's Not Just Cricket, Hole in One. I've produced plays by Athol Fugard, also greatly acclaimed. Busman and Leona, and so many others. I've done so many interesting plays with so many fantastic actors.